All right, let's give out some game balls. We'll get through these last couple categories fairly quick. So
no, we won't. You know what's coming. Stop it.
I know what's coming. That's why I want to get to it. That's why I want to get to it. The game ball is going to be quick. I'm giving mine to Emmanuel quickly. I forget if I gave it to him last year or last week, rather. If I did, I don't care. I'm giving it to him again. He has averaged just under 10 free throw attempts per 36 minutes for his last 7 games, which is there's like, I think 5 guys in the league ahead of him during that period of time. He has figured out once again how to get to the line, which was a massive part of his arsenal when he was a rookie. Still not really hitting shots. It's funny. He was 3 for 9 against the Jazz and scored 16 points or 15 points or something. Yeah. So like the effective field goal percentage is still low, but points per shot attempt is ultimately what you're looking at here. And his points per shot attempt are going way up because he's getting to the foul line again. Playmaking's coming along. For anybody, and I was thinking about this today, is like someone, messaged me with like, I hate these late season wins and like we're just damaging our draft style. If Emmanuel quickly figures it out and like gets past where he was last year even and takes a step up, that to me, that's worth it over the rest of the season because I'm still very, very high on him and it's great to see him playing well.
It's a great pick. Mine has to be Tom Brady.
I swear I thought you were going to do it. And
we're
I didn't even write it
here.
Down. No,
we're still here.
Go away.
Wow.
The other options not named Tom Brady are Jericho Sims, RJ Barrett, Evan Fournier, and Donovan Mitchell. I mean,
if we give him a game ball, maybe that'll continue to be part of the recruitment process. Jeremy.
Can I also make a prediction for the Jazz?
Yeah. What's up?
So what my theory is that they flame out in the first or second round. They don't blow it up. And then Quinn Snyder leaves because he sees the light in the tunnel. Maybe it goes to San Antonio, which I know there's a rumor of. But what happens is that the Jazz get a new coach in there and they say, look, we can get a difference of philosophy, maybe mix some things up, change things. And then it still doesn't work. And then there are 2 years left of team control of Donovan Mitchell's contract. And then we enter a very fascinating offseason, which is why, if you're a Knicks fan, you actually really, I can't believe I'm going to say this, and I know that both of you hate the Heat, and you're not going to want this. You're kind of rooting for the Heat to get Bradley Beal because they, to me, are the single biggest shooter or threat to getting Donovan Mitchell. Yeah. And if they lose up that ammo or use it up on Bradley Beal, I'm not saying that it's wide open and that the Knicks are the only team that's going to get Donovan Mitchell. But if you look at the other teams, they can win the race. And at the end of the day, we talk about this. We talk about stars. This team is nothing without stars. They can, do things in the meantime, but unless they get stars, they're not going to be serious. So that's why it makes me sick to actually root for the Heat to get Bradley Beal. But here we are. Anyways, I'm going to give my game ball to Jericho Sims. I love this kid.
Good pick.
It's like, as Fred Katz said, it's a home run if you get that at 58. And I want him on the team on a one-way contract next year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just it. I love you, Jericho.
Yeah, I love you, Jericho, too. Okay, it's time for our segment that we introduced last week, our weekly tankathon simulation, which probably is going to be even less fun this week because they went 2-1. They're in, I believe, actually, they have the 11th worst record in the league right now, but 10th or 11th, something like that. So, Andrew, you do the honors for this, right? Andrew, you're on mute. Oh, Andrew has started screen sharing. He's still on mute, though. There we go. Okay.
Here we go. Can you guys see the screen?
I can see the screen. I can see it. Okay.
Awesome.
So we're about to push Sim Lottery. This is my attempt?
No, John.
Oh, we do one attempt.
John, explain the segment.
We do a live simulation on Tankathon and see what the hypothetical order looks like and how it could affect both the Knicks and the NBA.
Yes, as currently stated, the Knicks are 30-41. They are in the tied for the 9th spot with the Lakers.
Excuse me.
With the Lakers, who are also 30-41. And if the season ended today, they would be in New Orleans for the play-in game. Because New Orleans is also 30-41.
Freaking awesome.
They are one half game back of Washington, or I guess half game ahead of Washington in these standings, in which Washington is 30-40. 2.5 behind San Antonio, 3.5 behind Portland. Although the Spurs defeated the Warriors last night.
I think the Spurs are the best hope. Yeah, the Spurs are the best hope for potentially getting the Knicks into 8th. Knicks ain't getting better than 8th.
I don't think so either. Yeah.
All right, let's do our sim.
This is John's. John, I will hit sim and you. Right, but okay, you got to host it. You got to explain the thing for first time.
I find this whole I said this last week. I'm not.
You've never pushed a button. You've never pushed.
I don't do this.
Okay. Well, for the wow. So Tim's pushes mine.
All right, here we go. This is my
John's. Okay,
yes,
so
this
John,
is my sim.
I'll hit sim lottery, and then you explain what happened. Oh!
So the Lakers got the first pick, and it goes to New Orleans, who gets to keep it because they top 4 protected their pick in the CJ McCollum trade. Great job.
No. Again, this is a different one. This is the top 10 pick that they get from the Lakers.
He did this last week.
Oh, did it last week.
This is not the CJ McCollum trade. This
one of these weeks I'll get it right.
This is the Anthony Davis trade.
Hopefully not, because it means they're not in the top 4.
Yeah. Indiana.
Indiana gets the number 2. Good for them. Houston gets 3. Orlando gets 4. And the Knicks go to 10th.
Okay. Jeremy, your turn. Wow.
I get the least movement. This is not fun. All right.
Yeah.
Houston stays number 1. Orlando stays number 2. Portland moves up 4 spots, number 3. And Indiana moves up 2 spots to number 4. So Indiana's probably going to get Jaden Ivey in back-to-back drafts. The hometown kid.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Portland pairs Jabari with would they pair Jabari with Dame, or do they go trade the pick for?
It depends. I mean, Jabari might go to Orlando. Number 2.
I'm going to make a prediction. There is no way that Indiana doesn't end up in the top 4. They tanked the right way this season. They did everything right. I love how they tanked. They were a legitimately good team for a while. They made the Knicks crunch time issues look like quaint in comparison for like the first 2.5 months of the season. And then after they're like, oh, well, this isn't going our way. They traded their best player, got a better long-term player. And they're, but they're like still fighting hard. They're like playing well. They're playing a bunch of kids. Like they're doing it the right way. Good for them.
They don't tank other than this year where they can just blame it on close losses. And
exactly. Really, really good job by that. Okay. This is Andrew, your tank.
This is mine.
Your tank, your sim, whatever.
And again, wow. So this is an argument for tanking if you want to play the odds. Detroit jumps up 2 spots. They're now the 1 pick in back-to-back drafts. Portland stays in the top 4. Was Portland in the top 4 for all 3 of us?
I think so.
Yeah. Mine.
So it's all 3 of us. Yeah. Portland jumps up to the 2 pick, which that's Holmgren or Smith in that sense. And then Orlando drops down to the 3 pick, just 1, and Houston goes from 1 to 4. The Knicks in all 3 of these iterations fell back to either 9 or 10, which so nail the 10 pick is what I continue to say.
Yep.
Okay.
Trade up.
That was or trade up. There you go.
Not to the top 5 because that's not going to be feasible, but a few spots. If you like a guy, you have the assets. We'll talk more about that another time.
The Lakers winning the lottery is the most hilarious outcome if this were to happen.
Oh, yes.
Let me ask you, would that be the worst season ever? Because here's the thing, right? The Lakers went from a championship contender to getting the number 1 pick in the draft, but giving it away because of a previous trade with Anthony Davis. But the irony is, and correct me if I'm wrong, isn't the reason that they had, or like, didn't they have the number 1 pick the same year that they won the title in 1980, 81?
Wasn't James Worthy I should know this.
It would be the reverse of that, which
really
funny.
Oh yeah, it would be the reverse of that.
Well, so close enough to the reverse.
Are you talking about the Magic draft or the Worthy draft?
Worthy and also Clay Thompson's dad.
Michael Thompson. They did have the number 1 pick in 1979, which is the year they drafted Magic.
Sure.
And then because they won it on a coin toss with Chicago. And
but wasn't there a year where they won the title and they also got the first pick?
Yeah, Worthy was drafted in 82.
And that's the year they won the title because the Celtics won 80, 81, and then so on and so forth.
Yeah, but the Worthy pick, though, was not theirs. It was
right.
So that's what Jeremy's saying. It's a similar situation. It's
except the opposite.
It's a lot like when the Celtics didn't win the title, but the year that they were the 1 seed in the East, I think it was 2017 with the Isaiah Thomas year. And then the Nets, who they had their pick from the Garnett Pierce trade and Jason Terry trade. The Nets won the lottery, which led to the Jason Tatum pick.
So the pick that became James Worthy was originally a Cavs pick. This is part of why the Stepien rule exists. It was traded 2 years prior, along with someone by the name of Butchie Lee, to the Lakers for Don Ford and a 1980 first round pick. I believe Don Ford was like a decent player, but I don't believe he was James Worthy's caliber.
Not a Hall of Famer. No.
No, actually, excuse me. Sorry, that is not accurate. Don Ford was not a good player. I'm looking at his stats. Anyway, we digress. Okay, let's get to the best segment of the show. Predictions.
Yay. I didn't realize, by the way, Jared, I thought that there was just like 5 weeks left, which meant that like the best John can do was tie you. No, I didn't realize
he can lap
wins out.
I could win.
Yes.
I could win.
So
by Julius Randle screwing me over in Sacramento.
There you go.
Oh, wow. Well, you could also blame Randle for the Jazz game too.
You can blame Randle for a lot of games. Okay.
Yeah.
Jeremy's still 11-9, still has a lead. I'm 9-11, but coming fast and furious, winning 3 in a row. Games this week. Our playback game, first and foremost, that should be fun. On TNT is the Hawks game, which takes place on Tuesday night.
By the way, I actually didn't ask you guys this before the show, so listeners, you get to hear this live. You guys cool with Tuesday being our playback game? I figured being a TNT game, if people don't want to listen to Reggie Miller or whoever it might be, then they'll listen to us instead.
I love it.
Should work. Cool.
Then Wednesday, the next night, they begin a road trip. They go 3-game road trip to Charlotte, and then Friday to Miami, and then Sunday they go to Detroit. Now, little programming note: we're going to be recording our show, our usual Sunday podcast, live after the Detroit game. So it's going to kind of be half post-game live stream, half Monday pod. We're going to do all of our usual segments. We will try to. We're obviously, We'll deal with super chats as they come in. We'll kind of try to weave everything together. We'll fumble our way through it as we always do, but we're going to give it a shot, and we'll see how it goes. So that's going to be next Sunday. So if you're interested in kind of being a part of the Sunday show live, tune into our YouTube channel next Sunday at around 6 o'clock.
After the game.
Yeah. Okay. There is a part of me here that wants to get feisty and pick 3 and 1. There is a part of me here that wants to get feisty and pick 1 and 3. I can't decide which of those two to do, so I am going to split the difference and go 2 and 2.
Yeah, I knew you were going that direction. I was even thinking, like, how do I plan on this? And I have similarly had issues figuring it out. So I am going to go in the opposite direction.
Go 4-0.
I guess not the opposite direction. I'm going to go 1 and 3 this time.
Interesting. Okay.
That's Detroit, the smart money bet.
Here's the thing. Detroit has been.
I know. They've been very
quality,
good.
And it's 3 games on the road, and it's Trae Young at MSG.
Yeah. No,
I would have picked 2 and 2, but I think, I like my odds. I'll do the best I can here.
My 2 and 2 pick is more because wouldn't it be like the Knicks to like give give one last like sliver of hope, right? Like beat Trae Young and MSG, beat the Hawks in Charlotte. And then here's the thing: I can see them like going to Miami and winning and then losing at Detroit. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Anyway, okay. Last but not least, certainly not least, Andrew, the floor is yours.
Yes. Welcome to Producer's Corner, everybody. The last segment of today's show. Looking at the time, I'm pretty sure the 2-parter of today's show, because we're coming up on 72 minutes right now. So in the last part of part 2 of this Marathon Sunday pod, we are going to do a bracket style tournament. And I kept it as recency bias. I didn't go all the way back into even the early 2000s. I kept it really to the last 8 or 9 years.
This was smart.
And I just knowing who, this isn't a knock on Jeremy. I just know, like, as I go further back in time, to when before you started following basketball. It gets a little more difficult. Plus, these are the 8 that probably matter the most. We're going to do a Tums tournament. Now, I have a disclaimer. This is not actually in association with the heartburn relief medication known
but
as
if Tums wants to advertise with us.
Yes, if you want to, please sponsor us. But by all means, please also don't sue us for doing the Tums tournament. I have a bracket style tournament where these guys are going to decide who has given us the most heartburn and need for Tums over the last several years. The bracket, as you see on YouTube, it's a 1 through 8, and it's going to be just like the March Madness tournament that some of you may be watching this weekend, the next couple of weeks. The number 1 seed is very relevant to the conversation you heard throughout today's podcast. It is the 2021-22 season from Julius Randle. The 8th seed that he will be playing is the 2019-20 Julius Randle. What's up?
Let's go through the seeds in order. I think that's the only.
You don't want to go 1 through.
No, but let's read off the seeds. 1 through 8, and then we'll go matchup by matchup. Because I think
just one thing away for us not to get sued by Tums, although we're not going to get, is if you make it an acronym for something, so like T.U. whatever, it could be like the ugliest messed up shit tournament or something like that.
The
ugliest messed up.
Okay,
yeah,
so, or like
that's Tumas messed up.
Well, it's a hyphen. You don't have hyphens. You don't account for that.
Just the ugly, messy shit tournament.
Sure.
The ugly, messy shit
tournament. Great. Okay.
So the 1 seed is Julius Randle from this season. The 2 seed is Elfrid Payton from last season, 2021. The 3 seed is Andrea Bargnani from pretty much his entire Knicks tenure here from 2013 to 2015. The 4 seed is Enes Kanter, not Enes Freedom. The Enes Kanter we got to watch for 2 seasons. I threw a bone because I'm a giving, empathetic person to people out there. And I put Carmelo Anthony from 2014 to 17, pretty much after he signed the new contract. Because I know some people don't like the second tour. Some people don't like the entire time of Carmelo Anthony here. I will not concede that. I contest that it was actually largely good. But if you had a problem with the last 3 years of Carmelo Anthony in New York, that is the 5 seed as of right now. The 6 seed being Emmanuel Mudiay from 2017 to 2019 when he was here during the first KP year, the first non-Melo year, the KP ACL tear year, and then the all-in tankathon that had the KP trade the following season. The number 7 seed is Joakim Noah. I actually wonder if this is a little low. The year and change that he was here from 2016 to 2017. And last but not least, Julius Randle from 1920. So we have Julius Randle versus Julius Randle. You guys will get to fight it out over who wins that bracket. But his first season in New York, which was obviously cut short from the pandemic. So best 2 out of 3. We're basically going through the who gave us the most heartburn is the qualifications for what you're making a pick on. Yeah. Who did you hate watching the most? Who gave you the most agita while they were on the team? Yes. We will declare a winner of the Tums tournament by the time this is done.
I just want to say, I think you picked the right 8. I would like to give it a shout out.
Do you want to do a playing game? We can.
No. I don't. We don't need to do a play. I want to give a shout out. Tim Hardaway Jr. He would like to be mentioned in the conversation, as well as Dennis Smith Jr. I think at least deserves a little bit of a mention. That's all. I just want to give those 2 guys.
Out of sight, out of mind. Got to be honest.
So the first matchup between Julius Randle, his first season here, and Julius Randle, his this season
current
here.
Season. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure we don't need to talk about this one this much. This supersedes anything that is from the first season. That's fair to say?
Yeah, I was going more for the joke that it's Julius versus Julius. It's a fight that would never end because they'd just be yelling at each other for an hour. But yes, this season's Julius was significantly more insufferable than that season's Julius. Jeremy, do you agree?
I would say so. But it's also funny because you could just have the Spider-Man meme.
Literally.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Issues with the coach might end up with firings,
I have a question for the next matchup, though.
Okay.
So, for Kanter, it'd be 2018, right?
Oh, what did I put?
You have 2016.
So when did
whatever years Kanter was here?
Yeah.
But the reason I'm asking is because is it fair to have multiple years of Carmelo in one if we're also separating like Joakim Noah for 1 year and like individual for Randall? I feel like if we picked one Melo year.
Oh, I understand what you're saying.
Because then you're like,
so then pick one. Pick one Melo year then. I don't know which one. I think people have a large issue with
I think the last one is probably the one.
All right, 16, 17.
Yeah, and then Cantor could be the last one. This to me is easily, without question, the most difficult first round matchup because I don't know that I've ever enjoyed watching a player less than I enjoyed. That's not the right word because I did not enjoy watching him. Then Enes Kanter, he was just incredibly frustrating for me. I never saw a point in putting him on the court when the Knicks had him because of where they were as an organization at that time. And I would have been thrilled if they bought him out the second that they traded for him from Oklahoma City. That being said, I was by the time, and I've since forgiven him and come to find religion where it comes to Melo's last few seasons here. But at the time, oh my God, was I angered that he would not relent and just waive the no trade and just get the hell off my lawn. Sticking with that theme. This is really hard. I would have to go with Kanter, but it's so close.
Jeremy?
I'm also having a really tough time of it. I think with Kanter, I mean, that's the thing. For Melo's no trade clause, you also have Kanter doing his bullshit little will I or won't I player option for $18 million that he kept hanging over the Knicks, drove all of us crazy. And then he, of course, opted in, which we knew he always was going to do. I mean, it's tough because Anthony did have the no trade clause that was given to him.
It was given to him.
But the Knicks did not give Enes Kanter the player option. He had it in Oklahoma City because of the matching with the restricted free agency in Portland and all that. So I think I want to go with Kanter as giving me more agita just because also but then there's like tough conversations either way. Like you have people who love points and rebounds, and then you have people who just would die on a hill for Carmelo Anthony no matter what. It's tough to pay. I think the least contentious way to survive this is probably saying that Kanter gave me more agita, because then it's not like
I think it is the way to survive it. But like what these guys have in common is like every time every minute Kanter played, maybe not every minute Melo played, but like every jab step, like fadeaway long two that he took, the team was like, they didn't have a draft pick for like one of those. It was just like, what are we doing with our lives? Like, and that was what both of those guys had in common. But yeah, I think you're right. I think we should probably just go with Kanter.
And Melo rehabbed his image afterwards, and Kanter's has gone in the exact opposite direction. So it's also kind of hard to separate then from now. But I got to go with Kanter.
Right. This conversation was great. I was never going to pick Carmelo Anthony. So
we know
it was always going to be.
So
it was always going to be Kanter. So
Kanter moves on. This next one, three Bargnani, 4 or 6 versus 6 Moutier is a little tough for me because Moutier, I actually there was part of me that felt bad for Moutier because he just was so ill-equipped to, like be like the my daughter just gave me a beer. I don't even know what to do with that.
Father of the year.
Wow. I don't even know what to do with that. My God, I love my kid so much.
Aww.
She just read all of Green Eggs and Ham by herself before this podcast.
Look at you.
Yeah. J-level
Eggs and Ham now.
Oh, that she does semi-am. By the way, person on who asked the question during the pregame show, what's your favorite non-sports book? Green Eggs and Ham. That's what
Green Eggs and Ham is a damn good one.
Yeah.
Okay. As I was saying, I felt bad for Moutier. But at the same time with Bargnani, every time I watch Bargnani play or do something, but like I wasn't mad at him at all. I was mad at the team for trading for him and for making that utterly ridiculous trade that was ridiculous on its face at the time. That's why it's like, so this one's tough for me because I don't know. I was just so frustrated with the team at large during the one really important Bargnani season, which was the 13-14 year. I'm going to have to go with Moutier in the upset here, but I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts on this.
Jeremy?
I'm going to actually go chalk with, say, Bargnani. And the reason I think I'm going to go with Bargnani, and you could say it's, the opposite of this, but I feel bad for both of them. I mean, even Bargnani's talked about the emotional and mental issues that have kind of came with it. But for me with this, it's like Mudiay was at least a young player at the time where with the right infrastructure, you hope something comes out of it. And now he wasn't a good enough player and they didn't have the right infrastructure. And it's sad because Bargnani, it didn't feel like the Knicks failed him, but it felt like the Knicks failed Mudiay. And don't get me wrong. I mean, Mudiay's struggles are also likely because of Mudiay as well. But it's just like Bargnani's shot in Milwaukee to make Clyde go like, what is he doing, folks? Like, that sticks with me more than we going to get you right, Mudiay. I mean,
God.
I have to go Bargnani on this one.
All right, Andrew, you're the tiebreaker.
So what's interesting is like Bargnani, I think, is the right pick. And yet the least fun I've had watching the Knicks in probably this stretch of seasons is the 2018-19 season. I understand there's a philosophy and a math that leads to like, well, better lottery odds. Those games were over in the second quarter, and he was allowed to do
second quarter,
first, whatever.
What games were you watching?
John,
over in the
whenever you'd
line.
like to say it, like those games, they were quite literally unwatchable to the point that it just goes against why I watch sports. Like I knew what the deal was. 90% of that roster does not have a rotation spot in the NBA right now. I understood what was happening as it was happening. So like philosophically, the Mudiay pick could advance in a way, because I'm like more frustrated by that season. If not Emmanuel Mudiay's season, but I think Bargnani's the right pick here. Go ahead. What's up?
My last argument, Bargnani wasn't blocking anybody that we were dying to see get in the game. And at the time,
the Mudiay Frank thing. Yeah.
Come on. That doesn't sway you guys? Dennis
and the Mudiay. You know what? I'll go Mudiay. My frustrations with Bargnani were like, they were tied to Melo too, because it was like, this is who you put around. Like after last season, like this is the big acquisition. This cost us a pick. So like I'm more put that on the front office just from a basketball argument. I'll go Mudiay here. And
Mudiay was blocking Frank, but at least at the same time, you could sort of be like, well, Mudiay is a young player and you hope that you can get something. I didn't believe it, but it's still like the logic of it. With Bargnani, then it's like, well, I guess we're in this. So hopefully it works out because we're tied to Melo at this point. And
I think this actually ended up being a closer contest than we realized. I'll go with the upset here. The 18-19 season is just, I just hated like turning on a Knick game, and like we were still doing our pod, Jeremy, and it was like, I have to, but I don't like, I know they're not going to win. And I hate watching basketball like that.
2-1, Jeremy, overruled.
That's fair.
Okay. This next one I actually feel somewhat strongly about. So it's number 2 seed Elfrid Payton from last season versus Joakim Noah. No, he actually played a second season with the Knicks. I forgot that. Oh my God. How many games let's off the top of your head, let's see who can get closer, Jeremy, me or you. How many games did Joakim Noah play in his second year with the Knicks?
I'm going to say 9.
I think it's got to be.
Wait, second year, third?
Second. He did not play a third year. He did not play a third year.
I'm going to go with 9 because of injury and shoving Hornacek.
I swear I'll go higher. I was thinking something like 16, 17.
It is 7.
Wow.
Yeah. Because also there was he had the Pelicans game, right? Wasn't that like one of his few good games? And it was like, hey, there's not hope for him, but there's something there.
Oh, I think I remember that game. Yeah. Okay. This is easy for me because Elfrid Payton, the Elfrid Payton that we're talking about right here, played for what I said at the time. And I think even in light of this season, I still kind of feel is my favorite Knicks team in the last 20 years. So I'm not saying like, oh, well, Elfrid Payton was a part of that. Thus, of course I got Ajit from Elfrid Payton, but like it wasn't enough to overshadow. Like how many games did I feel like Elfrid Payton lost us? 1, 2, 3, something like that. I don't know. maybe I just have a selective memory. So I'm going to go with an easy upset here with Joakim Noah over Peyton.
Jeremy.
I am going to go with Joakim Noah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. My thing with Peyton is that I don't want Elfrid Payton, but I also recognize that the options other than Elfrid Payton are very slim. And the Knicks' time was not then, and it still wasn't, and it's still not. And with Joakim Noah, it was like, okay, I really wish that Phil could have done those pull-ups.
Well, because he stole $72 million.
Yeah.
He stole $72 million. And a real quick story. When I was out one night on the Upper West Side, there was a pizza place. I was on Amsterdam, the low 80s, high 70s, something like that. That during Noah's first season, they had a picture on the window where he clearly, I'll use his term, lit Joakim Noah is biting into a slice of pizza. And I remember seeing him like, oh, that's nice that he posed for this. He's clearly enjoying himself so far in New York. Yeah. Stole $72 million.
I'll also go Joakim Noah. You want to talk about selective memory. It just cannot be stated enough how much vitriol went Elfrid Payton's way.
I remember.
You think the Twitter mafia that's out right now for Tibbs and for Randall is bad. It was all focused at one player in a season that was becoming special. Yeah. And it was like, what is he preventing this team from being? Why isn't Frank could do this? My whole thing of they won by 19 and he's a minus 21. I could do that. I'm not saying with pride I could be in the NBA or with any arrogance. I'm pretty sure if you put me in for those 20 minutes, I could be at least a minus 21. And it led to his mom getting involved during the playoffs when he got benched, and maybe some content creators reacting appropriately or inappropriately, however you want to phrase that. Regardless, Elfrid Payton's last season, the negative energy that he incited out of this, and I think that's why I would actually think I would lean him in this pick. It doesn't matter because you both picked Noah, but the Joakim Noah aspect of it all was my frustration went significantly more to the front office. All he did was sign a contract that was offered to him.
Yeah, but he didn't make an attempt to live up to that contract.
That's fair, but I don't think he was ever going to. I never understood the signing in the moment.
He's admitted that he fucking came here and he said, fuck this. Yeah, it was too lit for it.
Andrew, let me ask you a question.
What's up?
Are the Knicks still paying Elfrid Payton?
That's a good point. They're still paying Joakim Noah.
Okay.
Oh, we should hold up. We should do something to commemorate when they. So that'll be the eve of free agency. Actually, yeah. We'll commemorate it then.
Can I ask a quick question before we do the second round? So does Noah beat Bargnani?
Isn't this the second round?
Right. Oh, Noah is playing Moutier.
Oh, okay.
Right, but if he was the 6th seed, would Noah beat Bargnani?
I think so. Yeah.
Yes. Would Noah be Cantor or Melo for you two?
Yes.
Wow, I seeded this horribly.
That's okay. Listen, let's move. Okay. Let's move on. We got it. We got the 1 versus the 4.
Yeah, say he advanced. So,
So Randall from this season versus Cantor from, I guess his last year here.
It's easy.
Yeah, me too.
It is easy, isn't it?
Even though we're prisoners of the moment, it is an easy answer.
Randall, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Randall.
It's Randall because Cantor's, for me, it was something about Cantor's silliness that just annoyed me. And I acknowledged at the time, I think maybe, but I'll certainly acknowledge now that that wasn't completely altogether rational. Cause I didn't like the cut of his jib as I've phrased it. Right.
There was an off the court thing going on with Cantor at the time with his homeland that I at least respected. Which is why this being a strictly basketball argument, I was annoyed he was still on the team in the front office. This is part of that season I hated, but there was never a basketball issue I had with him to the point of there was never an off the court thing where I was like, oh wow, I just don't want to see this guy anymore. And because I don't like him, the
other part of the Cantor thing was I would get annoyed because it would be so obvious to me that he was making the Knicks an actively worse defensive team. And there were people out there who were like, no, he should be playing. And we had this kid, Mitchell Robinson, on the bench who could do special things defensively. And there were people that would argue no. You're making this, you're seeing something that's not there. Cantor's not that bad bad of a player.
Haven't you seen his PER, his PER?
Yeah, exactly. There you go. His PER. Anyway, okay, this is Randall. It's easy. The other matchup I think is a little more interesting. So it's now Moutier, who's advanced, going up against Noah.
Joakim Noah.
It's Noah. Yeah, this is actually easy too. It's Joakim Noah.
Wasn't that hard?
It wasn't that hard, I guess. Yeah. Okay, I just had to think about it for a second. Okay, which gets us to the finals. So we got this year's Julius Randle coming up against the 7 seed, the fighting Joakims. Man, this really just does, because I'm not finding a whole lot of. Are you guys finding suspense here?
Jeremy, do you have any thoughts? Is this a clear winner?
To me, it's kind of it's close, but it's clear.
I think it's the better question is not whether Julius Randle wins this tournament, which I'm pretty sure we both just acknowledged that he did going away. Am I wrong?
Upset City, baby.
Oh,
you're really going Noki?
Well, I'll tell you this.
Joakim Noah. Wow.
Here again, you could say a lot about Julius, right?
Yes, I have.
And yes, of course. But again, like the one thing about Julius, I feel like you do not find is his approach to at least, getting ready and being himself. Like I'm saying this, I fully acknowledge how bad Julius has been this year, but like you're not having Julius out on the town closing down bars. And just like he's the type of guy who's like, my reward for playing well is a glass of wine. And you have Joakim Noah, who's like, my reward for just appearing in a game is to
or not appearing in a game,
right? Or not. Like so, there again. I can't emphasize enough how this is the cap person in me. How pissed off I am at the fact that Joakim Noah's money is still on the books, because it's dead money. It turned into a 7-year contract, and that to me is ridiculous. And the reason was poor management, 100%. But also, like, it got to the point with Noah where there was a grievance issue of him staying away from the team. And it was contentious and it was ugly. I mean, I know that we're focusing on this one season with Julius, which is a bad season. Like, Julius's highs are so much higher than any high that Joakim Noah came to. I mean, just flat out 100%. Like we just talked about this man. He played 7 games.
You could argue that Randall's worst games are better than Noah's best games. Here's why it's an easy call for Randall for me. Noah, there was a period where within the first couple of weeks of his signing, it was like, oh, okay. No, Phil isn't smarter than the rest of us. He's actually quite dumber. This guy he's done. And that was it. Like you accepted it. And like, yes, of course it was frustrating when you thought about the contract. Every time I think about the contract, still frustrating. But there was never a sense that like this guy has more in him. Like to your point a minute ago, Andrew, like he couldn't do more. Like yes, he could have done more. He could never do that much more. He was done. He was pretty broken. Was there an effort issue? Yeah, for sure. Could he have done more off the court to prepare himself to play? Absolutely. So what? He would have been a good backup if he had given everything he had. Julius Randle, I still believe, has it in him to be one of the 20 best players in the NBA. And the fact that he has let himself turn into what he has this season, that is in the spirit to me of the Tums tournament, because that is what gives me the agita, and it is consistent agita because it has not gone away. So you're the tiebreaker, Andrew.
So before I give the tiebreaker pick, I think this is just important to point out how, as Jeff Goldblum points out in my favorite movie ever, life finds a way, and how this tournament, how both of your picks match your philosophies. Jeremy, it gives you agita. You need to take as many Tums as possible when you think about the fact that we are still paying off Joakim Noah's contract.
That's just part of it.
Right, but like that I think is the essence of the tournament, that you're like, holy shit, we're still paying Joakim Noah off his contract. This has turned into a 7-year contract. And that I think goes to the philosophies that I forget who was asking me the other day about why this pod works so well, not to get too self-serious, but like Jeremy as well as being like a fan of the team, you lean heavy sometimes with the economics and like the cap. You make it make sense for everybody. Jon, you lean with X's and O's, but you're also like bigger into analytics, and it's more like you're a numbers guy. The math has to make sense, and there's not a good Julius Randle number this year for a high usage guy like that, especially when it's probably going to lead to the coach getting fired potentially. Yeah. And I lean more the emotional side. I'm more of like the history guy that I lead toward, is why like I care about like where basketball's been, where the franchise has been. And like that healthy mix between the three of us balances out where it can be attached to anybody. If a pitcher is left in there for like, he clearly doesn't have it in the second inning, but let's leave him in for 7 to see like, hey, maybe he's still going to turn into that guy. Then like at a certain point, I have to go to the next step higher. And if a guy is given like a $72 million contract and like doesn't perform, I have to go to the guy that gave him that contract. And as much as like Tibbs has at time frustrated me, and as much as like I have questions about where the current direction of the team is going, I just very early on didn't think Phil Jackson had a clue. I thought he was stealing the Knicks money for 4 years, almost the entire time. And when the tipping point finally hit, it was a day of jubilation when he was gone. Even though people want to say in hindsight, well, he saw the Knicks trading for Devin Booker because there was no plan involved there. Like, so Devin Booker's going to play next to Derrick Rose and Carmelo Anthony at the time. So I will go Joakim Noah here. Wow. And the other tiebreaker I just want to add in is the off the court part of this, where as much as Julius like seems to be having a riff in the locker room, like there is still a part of me on the emotional side that like sees the Kaiden videos and like Kaiden being consoled after they lose to Kentucky. And
I could give a shit less about that.
I know you don't care about that. I do. And that's the part where that I have to, I don't have a video of Joakim Noah being like a good person off the court.
Kid's 7 years old. Get him a fucking remote control car. Give me a break.
Okay. And whereas like one guy is like, I enjoy watching Julius be like a fun dad at times, whereas I just don't want to watch him play basketball.
I get no joy out of watching Julius Randle be a fun dad.
On the court, like we talked about with the Jazz game and how he got upset and all this. With Joakim Noah, he was fighting his own teammates and his own coach, and then was exercised from the team because you can't play and you don't get along with any of us. So what are you doing here? And then Hornacek lost his job. We'll see if Tibbs loses his job. Like if Tibbs stays, you could make an argument that Randle's season didn't even fire the coach, which means that it's like that. It's not that bad to fire the coach. But then on one hand or the other hand, like Joakim Noah got his coach effectively fired for failing to maintain egos and in the workplace.
I'm not denying this is the matchup that should decide the tournament. I'm not denying that Julius probably hasn't done enough to earn himself the 1 seed here. I think when you get down to it, like we're still feeling the effects of the Joakim Noah contract. What it led to is like we're stretching it in the case so that way we can get Kyrie and KD, because that's like how much we need to get him out of here. Drastic decisions that had long-term ramifications.
And he's a New Yorker. He was supposed to at least be like, he's coming home type of thing. You have a fake super team. Like Julius was the consolation prize. We knew that he wasn't Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving or any of the other stars that didn't sign. Joakim Noah was like Phil Jackson's target to help build a team and run the triangle, which is another relic that gave us more than enough agita as is. It is hands down Joakim Noah for me.
You're talking about all this other shit, the triangle offense, Phil Jackson of it all being incompetent. With Randle, it's all Randle. And the last thing I'll say, and then we'll end this episode, is I found it interesting what was the article? I was reading it was a couple weeks ago, where someone was referencing Randle talking in the locker room about, or like maybe like Todd. Oh my God, I'm trying to remember this. Where it was someone was basically intimating that the booze that Julius Randle heard and experienced his first season here still bother him or like have gotten to him. And I'll go and find where I read this at some point. I know I'm not making this up. And like I don't think he's ever embraced the fan base. I don't think he's ever embraced the fans. I don't think he's ever. When there were no fans in the stands.
They came back. The fans are back.
Hold on. Where is it? Where's
Look
the
at
New
all
York
the post games when they're right. The post games where they're interviewing Julius Spy, whatever car was there, and you have the fans, the 2,500, then the 5,000, and then the entire stadium. I was there for game one.
I think that
when Julius Randle was announced,
and I think that was begrudgingly on his part. I think he did last season what he did in spite of the fans. I don't think it was ever about not that any athlete plays for the fans. Like let's keep it 100 here. Like athletes are doing this for a lot of reasons, and fucking me, you, and you aren't any of them. But like I don't know. I think he really hated playing in New York, and I think he obviously still hates playing in New York. I think he hates us. And I think I return the emotion right back at him.
But see, that's subjective. Here's what's objective. Joakim Noah didn't play. Availability is the best ability. That is consistently the number one thing for me. And when a guy plays 7 games and we're still paying for him,
okay, that's fine.
And
listen, it's fine.
And I'll just wrap up with a counterpoint to your subjective analysis, psychoanalysis of like, I remember him like enjoying the spoils of the attention when we had 2,500 people in the Garden. But like, I remember the Players Tribune article. I remember the New York We Hear, and then us merchandising the hell out of it.
Oh yeah, because he sat and wrote that Players Tribune article.
But John, so what? So just because like he had someone help him write an article to get his thoughts out doesn't mean that it wasn't something that came from his heart. I remember him enjoying the spoils of last season. And then he got tested positive for COVID and the fan base erupted. And since then, because the second game back after that, those 2 games off, that's when the thumbs down thing happened. Because that I think is when it's like, really? I gave my heart and soul to you guys. I thought we were cool. And then when I test positive for a disease that's killed 600,000 people, you guys get excited because you want to watch like my backup. Now, like that might be emotional. It's led to some irrational play from him this year, which is why the on-court argument is fair. But I'm not going to like fault him if that's the psychoanalysis I'm actually going to do with him and look at the order of events in that way of how it's happened.
He lost me way before the thumbs down. I'll just say that.
All right.
Yeah.
We know.
The opposite of a leader.
I as someone with the memory here, I know how it's played out. There is a paper plate covering his face right now. I'm not surprised that he lost you long before.
But hey, I guess Joakim Noah was also brought in to be a leader.
Yeah.
Yes, he was, and he did a very poor job of that. I don't know. I remember the one season I was, covered games in person. Randall's first season here, which did not win in this tournament. I just remember him standing in his locker after games and just like. You want to talk about a lack of ownership, complete and total lack of ownership of the situation and what was going on? Absolutely zero. None.
Bondi documented that. Like he had a lot going on off the court. Like with his grandma dying, that messed up a lot of what happened to him. Like his attitude I'm not saying it's an excuse, which is why, like I was talking to Oz about this, like the unwatchability of Julius this year. It's like what happened. Like maybe there is something going on off the court. Like, which we don't know, that has led to his attitude being the way it is, the frustration being the way it is. But like, it's why, like, if you stick to X's and like Julius this season has probably been the most detrimental to the rest of his on-court product than everybody else. And I'm saying that the adding in the other factors, I would still Joakim Noah. Still be, 2 guys currently on the Knicks payroll.
Yeah.
Okay.
One's making a lot more than the other. Congratulations, Joakim. I guess you earned it.
Both still earning. He is still earning it.
Literally. Thank you. This was a lot of fun. Andrew, anything else before we go?
Nothing. See you guys Tuesday on Playback. We've got 10 games. Hopefully you guys are up for it the same way we are.
Jeremy, anything before we get out of here?
I think we've said enough.
I think we have to. Andrew, what?
Not just if I can just shamelessly plug final review this week.
Oh yes.
So we just did Titanic, one of the biggest movies ever. We're doing a Best Picture theme, and we're doing a little known indie for the second to last episode of season 1. For those that don't know, we're going to a seasonal approach with the pod. So we're doing 2 more episodes and then taking a break and then coming back in the summer. The next episode, I don't know if you guys have heard it. It's called The Godfather. For the 50th
I didn't know we were getting Godfather.
Yes. The Godfather, which is falling on the weekend of the Oscars. When we're recording it to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the movie coming out.
Wow.
Yes. So it's Godfather week at Final Review. Listen to the Titanic episode, obviously, but then we're gonna go to Sicily and enjoy
it's funny
Godfather.
Because as you were closing out the Silence of the Lambs episode, adding up your scores and talking about like the way we designed it, a movie can't really get higher than 44 or 45. I was thinking, the first thought that popped into my mind is like, I wonder what's going to happen when they do The Godfather. Well, now I'll get to listen. It's interesting. Okay.
Only caveat I'll add to that is like, there's a sequel to that movie that maybe a season 2 episode that divides the math a little bit.
I know. This was great. This was a marathon. We put in more effort tonight than I think. I don't know. Certain people, perhaps. No, I'm not gonna say.
You can say either of our final contestants to the 2021.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, everybody out there, listen. You guys are the real MVP. You still listen to the show and help us out with reviews and ratings. Feel free to do those things. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. If you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, subscribe. Knicks Film School on YouTube, where we do all these post games. And thanks for listening. And we will be back with you soon. Take care.